Hello, welcome, or welcome back to Heretic Tarot. My name is Liz. I almost said like my government name, Elizabeth. Very formal. uh, Either one works, really. Just don't call me Lizzie or Beth. I just never, never got down with those nicknames. Anyway, so this is a reading for the 5-1 human design profile, the heretic investigator. Heretic. I'm pretty sure that it's heretic. I just like the way heretic sounds better. Anyway, is it a tomato thing? No, probably not. Anyway, so I have a complaint, and then we'll get into your reading. Well, before I even get there, if you don't know your human design profile, there is a link in the description for you to get your human design body graph, and your profile will be listed on there amongst a plethora of information specific to your design. No matter where you are with your awareness, knowledge, experiment of human design, these messages are meant to be more of an additional channel to receive a message. They're not necessarily meant to be educational, so I try not to use a ton of human design language so that the message doesn't get confused, because not every 5-1 is a Taurus or Aquarius, whatever. So speaking of zodiac sign readings, definitely be sure to check those out. They're all up and ready for your viewing pleasure. And as always, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe to the channel. I see it as a form of energy exchange. Of course, I hope, I pray, which is weird because I don't really pray. But it came out that these messages resonate with you and are at least a little helpful. So again, as a form of energy exchange, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel. But anything else? All right, let me get into my complaint. Okay, so the editing software that I use for these videos is CapCut. And they made a pretty drastic change to their terms of service, or like terms of use. And let me just say, I don't overly, at least I don't think, I don't overly edit these videos. The only thing is that I usually make one intro video that I'll, of course, put at the beginning of each reading. Whoops. Because it like confuses my brain to repeat myself 24 times, because my brain thinks that I've already said it, but I'm like, well, we didn't say it for this reading. But just, it's something that I'll adapt to. I'll do it. But anyway, so I usually make one intro video, and also I will edit out any like extended periods of time where I'm sitting here staring at the cards, trying to like put into words the information that I'm receiving, because I always do set the intention for the message to come through me, not from me. So yeah, sometimes I'm just sitting here staring at the cards, like literally trying to formulate words. For somebody with a defined throat, like, you would think that would be easier. It's not. So I cut those times of silence or dead air. I'll just edit those out. There's also times where my dog goes nuts because somebody's walking by and he has to protect us. And like, I don't know. I guess I just assume people don't want to hear that. There's also, few and far in between times where I'll like walk away from the desk for whatever reason to go grab something to right now I wish I had a chapstick nearby and I don't. So maybe I'll go grab it, maybe I'll be able to make it through the video. I'm a chapstick. Like I've been wearing chapstick since I was 6 months old, I feel. Not really, but I'm just saying. Um so anyway, that's all that I use, editing to do. And CapCut made it to where any content that you upload into their software, they have complete rights to. They can use for whatever purpose they want. And there's no obligation to compensate you for that. They have no liability against like copyright or anything, just free. And to me, that feels like siphoning energy off of people. And I feel like corporations, businesses, literally, the people in power, I just feel like they're doing that enough. I don't want to contribute to that. I am under like no illusion that I think that CapCut would ever use any of my tarot readings for anything. I don't use copyrighted, music or audios or whatever, It's the principle of it though. Truly, like if you upload a video to CapCut and if you use an audio that is copyrighted and you don't have the rights or the license to use it, and then CapCut turns around and they use it for whatever purpose they want to use it because they have the rights to it, like they own it. And if they get dinged for it, you're the one that's on the hook. They're not liable for that. You are. That's fucked up to me. So with all that being said, I'm not using that shit anymore. And I'm sure there are maybe other editing softwares out there. I did use one prior to CapCut, but it was so time consuming to do the little bit of editing that I wanted to do. And that's kind of how I found CapCut, because you can transcribe your whole audio or your whole file and then just take out the little chunks of space. And that didn't take me long to do. And I just don't really want to figure out a different software. Something that occurred to me actually literally today. So I found this out 2 days ago on the 18th, which is actually kind of hilarious because I believe the 18th is when Mars went into Virgo. I'm a Virgo moon. So I'm a Cancer rising also. So Mars is going to be going over my chart ruler. That's the third house for me of communications, amongst other things. So I think that's hilarious that the software, the program that I use to, like edit the video that I communicate messages or like readings to you guys, made such a change to where I'm not going to use it anymore. And also what occurred to me today, because honestly, I don't even think I'm going to be putting this video out. Like I schedule them so that readings come out every single day because YouTube. So anyway, today is the 20th and when I'm doing this message. But what occurred to me today is that there has to be a good reason for this, right? Like I have to see it. Like at first I was like kind of pissed, and honestly I was kind of freaking out a little bit because I do have this thing about like perfection, which Virgo, and it's like my idea of perfection, right? Because by no means are my videos perfect ever, but I like to have them be as polished as I'm comfortable with, and put in a little package. I like that I can take out these little like behind the scenes, quote unquote like messy things or whatever, right? Like I like that I was able to do that. And now I'm not going to be able to do that. So not only is it not going to be quote unquote perfect, which freaks me out, it's also going to force me to be more authentic, right? And to release judgment and to get comfortable with, literally showing up and literally putting videos out exactly how they occur. And I have to trust that I'm not going to be judged for that's not negatively going to affect, my growth, my potential growth, that you guys would be okay with that. I think that's kind of hilarious. And also too, with Jupiter being in Cancer and how Saturn and Neptune were squaring that's my first and 10th house. So even, the first house of self and the 10th house of how you show up in the world, how you are presented, how people see you, it's your work and your career and blah, blah, blah. So I honestly, I think it's a little hilarious how all of these things are happening. And I'm over here like, oh my God, I'm going to have to be more raw. I'm going to have to be more authentic, but also I want to be, I do want to be authentic in these readings. And now it's just going to be even more so. So I have to trust that is for the highest good for me, for you, for the channel, for these readings. Like, it literally is taking out anything that is just in the way, really, because perfection is not something to strive for. And truly, trying to be perfect, it just creates so much anxiety. And if it doesn't go the way, whatever, I hope you know what I mean. So anyway, that's my rant. Okay. That card went flying. Who is that? The 8 of Cups reversed. Interesting. And it went flying. There's this bird on here. It's half bird, half person. Bird person. Oh, for the Rick and Morty people. Oh my God, I love Rick and Morty. Eight of Cups reversed. Interesting. We do not take the cards that flip in the deck. We want commitment, so I don't think that they're serious if they only flip in the deck. Ooh, the King of Wands. I haven't even seen this one come out yet. Beautiful. Look at all this light around the crown. Even just the difference in color between those two cards. The Lovers. Look at this. 5 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Justice. The Fool. King of Cups. Let me make sure that there's not a crazy glare going on. Okay. I also feel like I tapped my setup, and it moved just enough to where I'm something is off. I can't figure it out. Speaking of perfection. I have no patience. I want to read with the reversed messages with this 8 of Cups. You are lost in a problem with no clear solution. At this time, you may have no proper resolution, and all you can do is experiment to find what will work best. Often you may feel dissatisfied, but keep trying to move forward. It's very interesting. The keywords for the Eight of Cups is disappointment, meditation, reevaluation, lessons learned, which to me, I'm not going to lie, is not very Eight of Cups. I should say traditional Eight of Cups. Which honestly is why I love reading the guidebooks, because I think it's also too, it's even honoring, you know, the person who made the deck. And their intention, you know, like their understanding why they made the cards the way that they did, right? So anyway, we'll talk about the traditional meaning of the upright Eight of Cups. Cups have to do with our emotions, how we feel about anything, you know, like how do we feel about ourselves? How do we feel about our lives, about what we're doing, about the people in our lives? How are we expressing our emotions or communicating our emotions? It's heart chakra, compassion, empathy, intuition as well. And the Eight of Cups traditionally talks about moving forward. It's literally moving towards the Nine of Cups, which is wish fulfillment, having your desires met. It's realizing that the cups you have been presented with, or the cups that you have tried, maybe they weren't offering the fulfillment or the purpose that you were expecting, and it's making that emotional decision to move towards something that will bring you that fulfillment and purpose. It's like literally the last straw, you know, or the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, what, you know, it's just like I have done all of the things. I have drank all of the cups, and still nothing. There's still something missing here. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to go seek that out because I deserve to, you know? So yeah, you know, like with it being in the reverse, it's interesting. So upright, they're like sitting on top of this mountain. And like I said, it's like half bird, half person. It looked like the legs of a person. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just a funky looking bird with like funky looking legs. I don't know. Even the fact that I said bird person, you know, from Rick and Morty, I'm like, what is up with that? I feel like bird person knows Rick on a level that nobody else does. They've been through a lot. You know, like bird person is like Rick's only true friend, you know? Um he's also like a little dry. It's funny, he's like almost absent of emotion. And honestly, that could be part of what the message is, like taking the emotion out of things, because we have fire, we have air over here. And then wands. Well, fire again, I should say, at the bottom of the deck. And then air again. So maybe, and then we have like the King of Cups. Anyway, I mean, we'll get there. But maybe it is like taking the emotion out of things. Like, you know, it was saying something about like being lost or... You are lost in a problem with no clear solution. And maybe that is because there is too much emotion involved, and that could be causing confusion. Not to mention too, like if there is something, being triggered in your body, like the whole body keeps a score thing, right? Like your nervous system, your vagal nerve, your whatever, right? Like if there is something within the situation, like me going into a panic because, oh my God, I'm gonna have to present these videos just as they are, which to anybody else, right? Like it might sound kind of dumb, maybe not. I don't know. That's what I'm telling myself. That's a dumb problem to have, right? Or a dumb thing to like be kind of in a panic about. But it's real to you, and that's all that matters. So again, right, it's like taking the emotion out of it. And again, like I was saying about my own, like when I finally, it took me 2 days to kind of put my feet back on the ground, to be like, you know what, this is actually going to be a good thing. And I feel like that is because the emotion was taken out of it. Granted, I felt the emotion though, right? Like where can I put my feet? Hello? I did feel the emotion of the thing. I'm also emotionally defined. I don't know. I don't know. Just going through the wave of it, but I do feel like once I get like taking the emotion out of it, you can see a solution, or even like an action to take, a perspective to have. And 8 of Cups upright to me is moving forward, moving beyond, moving away from. 8 of Cups reversed would be not quite yet. It's especially too, like, don't move out of the energy just because it's uncomfortable. See if there is something in there that you can find a solution for, or even asking, like, why am I even freaking out about this? Honestly, I didn't even realize about Virgo and Mars until I did the 2-5 reading, and I was like, oh, how funny is that, right? And it wasn't until I was about to do the 2-5 reading that I was like, you know what, I actually think this is going to be a good thing. So, right, like, don't move out of the energy because it feels uncomfortable. Be open to receiving a different perspective. Be open, perspective, action. There's information to be found in there. And again, I think that bird person is absent of most emotion. He doesn't cross me as like an overly emotional. I think Rick is. He just tries to hide it. I think bird person is more logical and like analytical and which also allows him to see things from a different perspective, absent of emotion. So you get it. I'm like, okay, I'll stop. Stop beating that dead horse. King of Wands. Here, kings are the highest expression of the suit. They've been through it all, which, you know, they have a lot of experience to draw from, a lot of wisdom to impart. You know, again, like kings oversee a kingdom. People look to them for guidance. People look to them as leaders. The kings, well, I don't know where I was going to go with that. The King of Wands is the entrepreneur of the tarot also, because I feel like the King of Wands needs creative freedom. They need the flexibility to do what they want, how they want to do it, when they want to do it, like change course when they want, you know, like it would be difficult for the King of Wands to be on a schedule and to have to report to somebody else. So maybe there is, you know, like an energy of taking more control or charge of your life, your situation. Maybe there is an opportunity to become entrepreneurially. You know, show up as a leader in some capacity, become an authority in some capacity, even maybe a promotion. Wands have to do with the actions that we take, the motivation behind those actions, creativity, passion. Like, what do we want to pour our energy into? What actions are you taking towards those things? How are you communicating those things? And I also see Wands as being information by way of experience, because that's what we get by trying things. We figure out what works. We figure out what doesn't work. What do we like? What don't we like? What stays, what goes. And truly the only way to figure 99% of things out is by trying them. You can feel a certain way about, you can think a certain way about things, but once you do it, you really don't know if you're going to like it or not. I refuse to believe otherwise. So yeah, you know, even maybe stepping into your power. Let's see. The book says natural born leader, vision, entrepreneur, honor. The king stag rests in a meadow. Oh, okay. I guess it's like laying on the ground, because I was like, it kind of looks like it's running, but no, I guess it's laying on the ground. His wand growing green with life and his crown ablaze with light. The King of Wands represents pure fire energy. Unlike other Wands cards, the king doesn't pursue specific aspirations, but rather seeks to change the world to match his vision. He excels at leading others to do the work for him through encouragement and influence. This card indicates that you are passionate and goal-oriented and that you possess a long-term purpose. He warns against arrogance or aggression in the pursuit of your goals. Consider the ideas of others and accept help when you are in need of it. I also love the yellow, orange, green, you know, that sacral, solar plexus, and heart chakra. You know, like just the colors. Maybe a little root thrown in there too. The stag is laying on the ground, which is very grounding. But again, right? I mean, just those lower chakras from the sternum down, right? The solar plexus is creativity, expression, confidence, self-esteem. The sacral is also like creativity, but passion, sensuality, sexuality too, maybe. Root is grounding, but not being so grounded to where you don't move, just being, firmly planted in the ground so you don't like take off like a rocket. Of course, there's different meanings for those things in human design. The root chakra is a pressure center. We don't make decisions from pressure centers. So, if you feel pressure to move in a direction, make sure that you're checking in with your strategy and authority. Sacral chakra is, what defines a generator and a manifesting generator. It's life force energy. It's the yes or no gut feeling. The solar plexus is the emotional solar plexus. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the reading too, right? Like the emotional wave waiting to respond. There's no truth in the now. So yeah, it feels like even, like grounding into yourself more. I know I've already mentioned that, like as far as I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, taking control. Just being more in charge of yourself, of the direction that you're heading in. Even too, like trusting other people, trusting like the energy will show up for you. Because like literally this king is chilling in a meadow. No sense of urge. Totally trusting that literally like it'll come to him, her, them, which to me doesn't even really feel like fire energy, but also I love that. Because still, right? The crown and the antlers, like they are ablaze, like the book says, but it's like waiting for that, regardless again of how you are defined, if you're sacrally defined or not, whether you're emotional solar plexus or not, whether your root is defined or not, that doesn't necessarily matter. But it's like waiting for the right opportunity, knowing that you have the energy that you want to put into a thing. You have that passion. You want to be, creative. Let it show up for you, which could be too, why, like, don't move out of the energy before the thing shows up because it is uncomfortable. The Lover's card, which is Gemini. I want to say the King of Wands is Sagittarius. I have no clue who the Eight of Cups is. But I'm only really bringing that up because they're opposing signs, right? So there might be something to that, but I love that these people are dancing in the Lover's card. There's that country song called Life's a Dance. Who sings that? I want to say John Michael Montgomery, but that could be wrong. Anyway, there is a song called Life's a Dance, and it's really good. Highly recommend listening to it. I think it's like from the 90s, which is when country was the best. Life's a dance. You learn as you go. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow. Don't worry about which you don't know. Life's a dance you learn as you go. Truly. But the Lover's card, there's a couple different, like, things with the Lover's card. It does talk about choices, decisions, sometimes coming up to a crossroads. This also even feels like very fiery to me, very like passionate. So it could even just be finding that right thing to, again, like pour your passion into, that even like rejuvenizes your emotional body. Like if you are just kind of feeling blah, like if you are feeling disappointed, if you are feeling like, man, I just don't have much of a purpose right now, which is kind of depressing because there's nothing for me to just like give my energy to, that also gives energy back to me. That's what this is. And it's because, like, being open to it, being ready for it, letting it come to you. So, keeping your eyes open, keeping your, like emotional or your energetic, okay, emotional too, your energetic feelers open. If you could only see me, it's probably better that you can't see me. I'm literally, you can't even see like the shadows on the table, but I'm like, my arms are frailing. But yeah, this could just be like the perfect opportunity. It could, of course, be a connection that could be romantic, platonic, business, community. The Lover's card also talks about the dance literally between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, the energies, not the genders, but the divine masculine is initiating and protecting, go-getting, putting yourself out there, going and getting it. And again, like even taking control, audacity, really, right? And the divine feminine of flow, receiving, intuition, ease, fertility, right? I mean, like literally birthing something out of your own image, not necessarily like biologically. Of course, it could be that, but more so, like again, just birthing a vision, an idea, a creative venture, like whatever it is, And again, it's like the dance between those two energies and them being in balance or working in tandem with each other. So the book says passion, love, teamwork, commitment. Two lovers dance intertwined. The lovers represent those things that we associate most with love, such as partnership, commitment, sexual attraction, and passion. However, this card is also about choices. The lovers would have you consider that many facets of each choice you make in life, the same way you view your lover, as more than an object of sexual attraction. Although this card may indicate that your love life is entering a stage of deep connection, it may also be encouraging you to examine your priorities and values so that you will be well equipped when the difficult choices arise. Mm-hmm. And then the Five of Wands. I kind of want to do this. I haven't been doing that way, like for other readings, but it feels right for yours. And I think that it's interesting that it's the Five of Wands on top of, like, can we see this okay? The Five of Wands on top of the Eight of Cups in reverse. And the Five of Wands in this deck talks about not knowing what you want to do. You know, it's being pulled in two opposing directions, which is interesting if these, you know, Sagittarius and Gemini being opposing, you know, signs to each other. Like the logical, you know, side and the like free thinker, you know, want to just experience it rather than think about it. Like I'll form my opinion once I do it type of thing. Right. So, you know, fives talk about conflict, competition. This card specifically, again, it talks about just not knowing what direction you want to go in. This is one snake with two heads moving in differing directions. Also, too, I recently watched the Matrix movies, like in succession to each other, like. And the one thing that I took away from it this time, I feel like every time I watch them, it's something new that comes up. But when Neo goes to see the Oracle for the first time in the first Matrix, she tells him he's not the one, right? Like she's telling him what he needs to hear. But she says, here's the thing. Well, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't remember exactly how she said it, but you've already made the decision. You've already made the choice. You're trying to figure out why you made that decision. Because she also is like talking about how choice is an illusion. You already know what you want to do. So you've already had it, you know, the decision's already been made. You just don't know why you made it. And also, maybe there's a lot of fear. Maybe there's, you know, again, like a lot of you know, emotion that is repressed, or, you know, there could be, again, fear, anxiety, doubt. It could be something that, you know, a past experience is triggering in you, which again is all the more reason to sit in that and ask it questions like, where did you come from? What is the experience that led to this response in my body? Is that true of the current situation? More than likely, it is not. What are the goals and aspirations that I have? Am I getting in my own way? Are there obstacles that I need to get through and I'm worried that I can't? You know, like those types of things. The book says disagreement, competition, tension, conflict. One snake with two heads pulls itself in different directions. The Five of Wands represents conflict and change. This card indicates that there is tension and conflict going on, and it is getting in the way of your ability to move forward with your goals, which is these cards. This could be inner conflict, not knowing what you want for yourself, or it could be an interpersonal conflict involving two or more people who aren't fully listening to or hearing each other. Yeah, of course, there could be other people involved. Where is the... Oh, there it is. Why did I think the Justice card was... Oh, how cool. I didn't realize all of these cards are illustrated by a different person. Maybe these are all, let's see. Oh yeah, okay, because that's like the same couple names are repeating. Okay, because I'm like, wait, I think there are actually there's 4. Okay, here we go. I'm like, there was like 4 different authors I think attributed to, or not authors, but people, contributors, is that the word for this deck? Anyway, truth, objectivity, order, balance. Lady Justice rises from the river bearing golden scales. Justice is a card that deals with law, truth, and balance. The figure in the card wears a blindfold as to remain objective in her duties. She is reminiscent of the Egyptian goddess Ma'et. I could be pronouncing that completely incorrectly, and I apologize. Whose primary role was to weigh the souls of the dead against her ostrich feather, which represented truth. If the scales remained balanced, it meant that you had led a good and lawful life and would pass into the afterlife successfully. Let this card serve as a reminder that every action has equal reaction and that fair decisions will result in just consequences. Okay. You know, I just want to go back to, like I said, about taking the emotion out of things. And, you know, again, like the blindfold, having to like remain objective, literally only going based off of the information that you know to be true about yourself, about the situation, about your goals, right? About like where you want to go. And if there is confusion, then feel into the confusion. What do you want? What are you confused about? Let's chat, you know? Like let's talk about it. Because ain't nobody got time for this, right? And then the Fool card. I love that the Fool card is at the end here with the Lover's card. They're literally, you know, flying towards the light here, which to me represents the sun, which to me represents happiness, joy, bliss. All of the things that the upright 8 of Cups would be walking towards. That's, you know, it's taking a leap of faith, trusting your path, trusting, you know, the decisions that you make. Beginnings, innocence, trust, freedom. A girl rides her broomstick through a sky filled with birds, getting dangerously close to the sun. The Fool is shown at the beginning of her journey, symbolizing unlimited potential. This card tells us that each day is an adventure. The Fool upright is in a reading tells us that now is a time for foolhardy and to set out on a new adventure without worrying too much about the consequences, which is interesting. That the Justice card was talking about basically like remaining in your integrity, right? And the consequences of that will be beneficial to you. This card tells you to trust and enjoy life and that we will only grow through experience, which is the King of Wands. So really it's these 2 cards over here, because you know over here it's going to go well, whatever it is. But over here, we just got to clear up a little bit of old shit. You know, King of Cups, the highest expression of the suit, being emotionally mature, having clarity too, like being able to trust your intuition, being able to, you know, trust the things that you do know. Not to mention too that there's a candle burning on their head, you know, fire burning on the stag. There's, you know, a candle burning on, so to me, you know, higher consciousness, being tapped in to whatever, source, divine, God, higher self. I get, if you believe in a higher power, if not, then your intuition, because we all have that. Being compassionate, leading with your heart. Beautiful. All right, I'm leaving it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards and allowing me to rant at the beginning and throughout. And I will talk to you later. Bye.